Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. You got DanK here and my friend Shawn. Our special traveling friend Shawn is back in town again. And I always like to update him, or get updated from him on traveling and what's going on out there, and especially his experiences in Rogue River? Rogue River, yes, the city of Rogue River.
Yeah, it started raining one night and I had to spend the night over there at their nice little city hall house, and I was looking at the board and something caught my eye. The City of Rogue River Special Council meeting on Thursday, October 30th, 2014 at 10 a.m. had some new business. It was 14-2283 for all those cannabis people out there. An ordinance establishing a marijuana and marijuana-infused product tax in the city limits of the city of Rogue River, Oregon. Stay safe, stay strong, stay well. So, that means that there's going to be a marijuana and marijuana-infused product tax.
In Rogue River.
Rogue River.
Yeah, little podunk town, you know, and little towns like that all over Oregon that are going to jump on the bandwagon, even though Measure 91 specifically states that they cannot tax it. City ordinances cannot tax it. The cities are going forward with it, and assuming that the legislature will change that law for them, and who knows. But Measure 91 did pass. Legalization's passed to almost 12% spread. That's fantastic.
But notice how they passed that ordinance before the law passed, like they knew it was going to pass with all the attention it was getting.
That's it. And
all
these
radio
cities,
stations, TV stations.
Yeah, all these cities and the counties and such are doing that. They did that before the law passed because they wanted to figure that they would be grandfathered in, therefore their law would stand. But all the legal opinions I've gotten is that no, that doesn't work that way, and all that work was for nothing. But anyway, other than that, how was the traveling going?
Oh, the travel was going great. This last time when that big rainstorm occurred, I was underneath the little drain bridge that goes on off to the 5 and back onto the 5. The sheriff stopped by and gave me a top ramen noodle thing and his coffee with some to put my oatmeal in, because I was there for my cat and I were there for like 2 or 3 days, and we had to get up and go before the rain started again. I walked from there to Rice Hill, and when I got to Rice Hill, then that truck stopped, let me stay in there overnight to dry my clothes because they were all wet from the heavy rain. And I just spent 2 days in Rice Hill and smoked that nice blue magoo you gave me. I mean, since my bong broke, it took quicker for me to smoke because rolling joints is more.
Can you imagine walking from Drain to Rice Hill? Oh my God.
It's about 9 miles.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. But that was cool to say that county sheriff gave you a little bit of chow there, and you know that's really neat because so many times we see the cops hassling people, especially homeless people, especially people hitchhiking, and it's always good to hear that somebody's being humanitarian and
well, when I was going back and got trapped up there where the weed fire was a couple of months ago. A couple of Riverside County Fire Department got out of their vans and handed me a nice big sack lunch.
Yeah, that's cool.
When I was up there,
that's
going up
great.
there another time.
Yeah.
So my travels are far, and it's a long travel, and when it is special when somebody goes out of their way to pick me up or stop by and blessing me with food or whatever. I always enjoy that.
You made some great contacts. You met the seed guy.
Yeah, the seed guy that I got the seeds for.
We're going to be hopefully connecting, and I got some seeds from Shawn that my friend of mine is going to be growing for me.
And then I found those purple kush.
Purple kush. Yeah, we got some purple kush seeds. Those are going to be exciting. That's a real popular strain. So got some good things coming next spring, and I got one opening at this point for a patient next year, so next spring. So if you keep me in mind, so might be able to help you out. Anyway, appreciate you, Shawn, and being here and updates on your travels. And
if anybody sees me out there traveling, pick me up.
That's right.
And we'll talk and have a greet and meet and social.
That's right. You bet. Help him out. So We'll be right back.
I usually don't have my mask on, though.
All right. Welcome back to the second segment of the Eugene Cannabis TV. We've got some more news stories for you and things of interest about cannabis, hemp, and of course our Measure 91 that's just passed, which is really exciting. And real quick, I want to tell heard from the Hemp History Week people. They've announced the dates for June 1st through the 7th. And so that's their dates for the 6th annual Hemp History Week. We celebrated Hemp History Week last year. We tried to contact these people, and they wrote back and said they weren't interested in working with us because we're a hemp fest and we deal with medical, and they're more industrial, which didn't make any sense at all. So we went ahead and did our own little hemp history thing on Saturday Market here in Eugene on that Saturday. So hopefully this year we can get some recognition from the actual people themselves and work with them. But if not, we'll be on our own again. So put that on your calendar for the June 1st through the 7th Hemp History Week. And that's going to have a whole lot of meaning this year because cannabis continues to be legal, getting more and more legal all the time. And I wanted to bring up the story about jury nullification. This is something that we need to keep talking about and make sure that people understand it. This is a very powerful tool, and it's perfectly legal, especially in our fantastic country, to have something like this. This was dated a couple of years ago, but I wanted to bring it up again just to so people be aware of it. This was written in the Huffington Post by Hillary Hansen, titled Doug Darrell Acquitted of Marijuana Charges Through Jury Nullification in New Hampshire. A New Hampshire Rastafarian facing felony cultivation charges was declared not guilty on Friday because a jury believed that punishing him for the offense would be unjust. 59-year-old Doug Darrell was arrested in 2009 after a National Guard helicopter flying over his home found he was growing 15 marijuana plants in his backyard, according to WNTK. At Darrell's trial, jurors nullified the case against him. Jury nullification occurs when a jury concludes that a defendant is technically guilty but fails to convict the defendant on the grounds that the law in question is unjust. While jury nullification is legal, judges frequently do not inform juries of this power and may prohibit defense attorneys from doing so, according to the University of Missouri. At Darrell's trial, however, the jurors were fully informed of their nullification power, the Laconia Daily Sun reports. As per the recommendation of defense attorney Mark Sisti, Judge James O'Neill read aloud to the jury. Even if you find that the state has proven each and every element of the offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt, you may still find the defendant not guilty if you have a contentious feeling that a not guilty verdict would be a fair result in this case. Sisti argued that convicting Darrell would be unfair, given that he was growing marijuana for personal, medicinal, and religious use. After deliberating for 6 hours, the jury unanimously declared Darrell not guilty. Juror Kathleen Converse, self-described as a straight-laced little old lady, explained her reasoning in an interview with Free Talk Live. Mr. Darrell is a peaceful man, she said. He grows for his personal, religious, and medicinal use. I knew that my community would be poorer rather than better off had he been convicted. Prior to the trial, Darrell turned down several plea deals, including one that included no jail time or fine, Reason.com reports. Sisti said his client insisted on a jury trial because he didn't think he was guilty of anything. Marijuana is a sacrament in his religion. Informing jurors of their nullification rights will likely become the norm soon in New Hampshire. In June, Governor John Lynch signed HB 146, a bill that explicitly allows defense attorneys to tell jurors about jury nullification. The law will take effect in January. So that's something that can be used in every state. When you're a juror, basically, as they say, it's between you and God, because nobody knows what goes on in your decision process. And if you find a person not guilty, you don't believe the person's guilty of the law, because the law is unjust, you can do that. So look into that and be aware of that, especially if you're called up as a juror.
Military veterans petition U.S. Attorney General to reschedule marijuana. Written November 8, 2014. Veterans from across the country have banded together and will be delivering a legal petition to the Attorney General requesting that marijuana be rescheduled within the Controlled Substance Act. Current scheduling of marijuana is stripping veterans of their constitutional rights and dismantling in the patient-doctor relationship within the Veterans Health Administration. Removal of marijuana from Schedule 1 will allow VA physicians the ability to recommend its medical use for many debilitating conditions veterans suffer from. As science continues to document and verify the medicinal properties of cannabis, the ethical dilemma of the current scheduling becomes even more apparent. This is especially true when considering recent studies that have shown a reduction in the number of opiate overdoses and suicides among states with medical marijuana programs. Members of the Veterans Coalition will deliver their petition to the Attorney General on November 13th. Veterans have earned the right to have an open discussion with VA doctors about using cannabis as an alternative to addictive pills that are currently the only option. It cannot be ignored any longer that cannabis is a safer alternative and could help drastically reduce the 22 veterans a day we are currently losing. Shawn, Marine veteran. It is sad over the years my medical needs have been best met when I was outside of the United States under the care of doctors in Europe. Here in the country where I was born and honorably served in the military, I am denied basic medical needs as well as the ability to freely discuss my medical options with my VA doctor, Michael Krakowitz, Air Force veteran. It is time to change our views on cannabis and allow the research to shape them. Tony Macy, Army veteran. With 22 daily veteran suicides, it's time to check politics and business as usual at the door. Our veterans deserve better. Scott Murphy, Army veteran.
You bet. So that's really that's great that the veterans are taking that on and trying to get it rescheduled. That's extremely important. And right now it's scheduled as a Schedule 1 with no medicinal value, which we all know is incorrect. So Oregon is rescheduled to 2, but we need to be, I've forgotten what they say, 4 or 5 or something. But so anyway, that's anyway. So we got to take this segment, and we'll be right back. Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You're back, and we're still talking about Measure 91, which passed by almost a 12-point spread, which is really, really good news. So thank you for everybody that voted yes. And those that voted no, onions to you. So anyway, this came on the Register Guard on the November 5th, written by Christian Hill. Measure 91, second time is the charm for supporters of legal pot. Oregon on Tuesday became the third state in the nation to legalize the recreational use of marijuana. 2 years after the state's voters defeated a similar measure. Measure 91 was leading handily, receiving more than 54% of the vote as of late Tuesday. In Lane County, the measure was leading 59% to 41%.
And I think it's more than that by now. I think it's over 60 in Lane County.
We're really happy with the outcome of the election, said Casey Julian. Excuse me. The campaign's regional organizer for Lane County. Supporters had argued the current laws against marijuana reflect decades of failed drug policy, and that creating a regulated system is more sensible option that takes money and control away from the black market and puts it towards the benefit of Oregonians. Millions of dollars flowed into the campaign in support of Measure 91, in large part from wealthy out-of-state donors. The windfall was a marked contrast from 2 years ago, when a more lenient measure to legalize marijuana struggled to raise cash and attention as similar efforts in Colorado and Washington prevailed. Measure 91 supporters used those dollars to run a robust campaign to persuade mainstream voters and to prod younger voters, a bloc less likely to vote during the midterm elections, but crucial to the measure's success. It's pretty clear they turned out to the polls for this very important issue, Julian said. Critics hinged their far smaller campaign, the No on 91 campaign, raised less than $200,000, primarily from organizations representing law enforcement, on the premise that children would be harmed either through the ready availability of marijuana at home or by targeted advertising from the new industry. Clatsop County Sheriff Tom Bergen, past president of the Oregon State Sheriff's Association, said he was disappointed by the results. Bergen said big outside money was able to downplay the severity of the drug, a decision that will have repercussions for the state in the years ahead. It's sad, but it's, I guess, the will of the people, he said. The pendulum always swings, so we'll see where it is in the next year or 2 or 3. Bergen said he expects voters to return to the ballot in a couple of years to rein in the recreational use of marijuana once they see the damage it afflicts on communities. Once the measure takes effect on December 4th, Oregon residents ages 21 years of age and older will be able to legally possess up to 8 ounces of marijuana at home or up to an ounce away from home.
They will also be able to grow up to 4 marijuana plants at a time at home.
That's right. And residents will be able to buy marijuana from retailers, although it will take more than a year for those establishments to open those doors. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission must begin accepting applications to license marijuana growers, processors, and retailers no later than January 4th, 2016. That gives the Commission, in consultation with other agencies, time to adopt the regulations for the state's new recreational medical industry. Marijuana will remain illegal under federal law. The state's medicinal medical marijuana law remains unchanged. The courts and state lawmakers may add their voices to how Measure 91 is implemented. One question is whether Oregon counties and cities can impose local taxes on marijuana. The measure imposes a state tax, with revenue divided among schools, state, and local law enforcement and drug and alcohol treatment programs, but it bars local governments from passing their own taxes. Despite that, numerous cities and counties, including Springfield and Lane County, already have adopted local taxes in the hope of getting in ahead of when the prohibition of the measure takes effect. So there you have it.
That's an interesting tactic because it seems like it's not legal, it's not going to hold up in court, and if they try and fight it in court, it's just going to get overruled, and they'll have to not have those taxes because that's not the way the measure was written.
Yep, that's right, that's right. So the editorial, do you want me to read the editorial, or do you want to go for that? The Register Guard editorial, job number 1, kill the black market. Oregonians' votes will have consequences, including pot dealers out of business. Oregonians' vote on marijuana made national news. They broke spending records with their fight over labels for foods containing genetically modified organisms. They reflected driver's cards for illegal immigrants on a top 2 primary system while embracing a constitutional guarantee of equal rights for women. This year's 7 state ballot measures made up in variety what they lacked in number. And the Marijuana Initiative leaves Oregon with an important assignment for the months ahead.
Having voted to legalize marijuana for recreational purposes, Oregons must turn their attention to their new responsibility to regulate the drug. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission has until 2016 to adopt rules for growers and retailers. As it moves to create a regulatory system, the agency must keep foremost in mind a goal that will serve the aims of legalization and the black market in marijuana.
That should be the underlying aim of OLCC regulations. Just as state-controlled liquor sales aim to end the prohibition area bootlegging that provided the financial underpinnings for organized crime. Measure 91 was written in a way that gives the OLCC an opportunity to gain a near monopoly in the marijuana market, setting taxes at a rate low enough so state licensed retailers will be able to sell pot at competitive prices while also enjoying the advantages of legality, convenience, and quality control.
A state monopoly would make it easier for Oregon to pursue other goals such as keeping pots out of the hands of people under 21 and ensuring that the products derived from marijuana, foods, oils, and infusions are prepared safely and packaged in ways that do not appeal to children.
There's reason to be apprehensive about adding to the quantity of drugs in society, but approval of Measure 91 includes a recognition that marijuana has become a part of the social fabric already. Voters accepted that reality and took control of the drug away from criminal enterprises. The OLCC's charge is to make illicit marijuana sales as rare as sales of moonshine whiskey. So this is, then it goes on to the other measures, but that's what this is in the editorial, the Registered Guard, dated November 9th this year, and so that's what they had to say about Measure 91. So, and then we wanted to finish out here, finish out our show on a poll that was conducted weeks before Oregon, Alaska, and the D.C. voters decided to legalize marijuana. So they knew, this is dated, I don't have the date on this, but it was right, the new Gallup poll has found that a majority of Americans still supports the legalization of marijuana. The Gallup poll found a slim margin of Americans, 51%, favor legalizing use of marijuana, similar to the 50% who supported it in 2011 and 2012, but down from the reading of 58% last year. The poll was conducted in mid-October, but released just days after voters in Alaska, Oregon, and D.C. voted to legalize marijuana. In Alaska, 52% voted in support. In Oregon, it was nearly 56%, and in D.C., the number was a whopping 59%.
69%.
Yeah. Building off of the success of 2014, advocates for marijuana legalization will be putting legalization on multiple ballots in 2016, including California.
It's about time.
Yeah.
The 58% support for legalization that Gallup reported last year was always something of an outlier. It was the highest among virtually all the national polls on marijuana legalization, said Ethan Nadelman, Executive Director of the Drug Policy Alliance. And it can be explained in part by the timing in late 2013 when Washington and Colorado's most successful ballot initiatives made the prospect of legally regulating marijuana real to many Americans. And just months after the Obama administration had given its qualified green light to those states to proceed with implementation, and before media began to focus on the actual challenges of transforming a previously illegal, unregulated market into a legal, regulated one.
Notably, Gallup's poll was conducted in mid-October, when polling in Oregon and Alaska suggested that the marijuana legalization ballot initiatives were a toss-up. Nadelman said, yet both won, and in the case of Oregon, by a stunning 56 to 44% margin. If Gallup's poll had been conducted this week or next, it almost surely would have found stronger support for legalizing marijuana than it did last month. So I see the latest Gallup poll more as a validation than anything else, and consistent with the large majority of polls over the last 2 years that show more Americans in favor of legalizing marijuana than against it, Nadelman said. What's most important, of course, is that the most meaningful poll of voters, the ballot box, the results speak for themselves. And they did, in 3 states. I think they quoted 79%. I thought it was more like 70, but regardless, that's incredible. 69% favor legalization in D.C. That's
I think the numbers went up since then.
That's fantastic. They're going to have some challenges there. They've got some, of course, Republican legislatures that want to try to throw a monkey wrench in that, but hopefully we'll be able to fight them off. So we are winning. We are definitely winning. It seems like at times it's slower than we would like it to be, but we are winning. As I like to say, we have the truth on our side. So we are winning. So I appreciate you coming in and visiting with us and checking out our show and getting educated. Come on next week and we'll be here again. Same time, same station. So we'll see you then. Thank you.